Okay. I will just share with you a couple of words from John. And this is coming from, oh yeah, I better put on my glasses. This is coming from the Aramaic Bible in plain English, which is my, my favorite Bible to read the New Testament in. In the origin, this is John 1, in the origin, the Word has been existing, and that Word has been existing with God, and that Word was himself God. This one himself was at the origin with God. Everything was in his hand, and without him not even one thing existed of the things that existed. In him was the life, and the life is the light of men. And the light is shining in the darkness, and the darkness did not overtake it. There was a man sent from God. His name was Johanna, like John. He came for a witness to testify the light, that everyone by him would believe. He was not the light, but he was sent to bear witness of that light. For that one was the light of truth, which enlightens every person that comes into the world. He was in the world, and the world existed by his hand, and the world knew not him of. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But those that received him, to them he gave authority to become sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Those who had not been born of blood, nor of the desire of the flesh, nor of the desire of a man, but of God. So this is clearly pointing out at awakening, at joining in light, at connecting with this light. And the light is shining in the darkness, and the darkness did not overtake it. You know, this is all about life, about the light of man. And the light that they were talking about in the first couple of verses, of course, is like the Christ mind, the light of your mind. So this refers in that sense also to the contemplative life. If we started, I started posting these verses from Joel on the Facebook closed group, you know, every day, like a daily lesson, and you see little snippets out of it that will walk you through the contemplative life. And one of the first things that is being said is the idea of, well, this is not for improving your human existence. This is not for improving your health or your supply or anything like that. Now, this has actually nothing to do with that. It might happen, but it will, like, the thing that is occurring to you is a transformative process in which you are, in fact, letting go of your ideas about this world and letting a new perception come to you in terms of the real reason that you're here, the real you that is here. that has nothing to do with this body and nothing to do with the world around you in that sense. But it's the awakening out of this dream of humanness. So the first thing that's being said also is like this is about your consciousness. This is about being aware and becoming more and more aware of what actually is going on here. That the only reason that you are here on this planet Earth is to, in fact, to remember God, to remember your true source. And of course, that is something that you know, but you might also forget it sometimes and just not remember it. So so it's like developing Christ consciousness is, of course, through all Joel's talks, and he's referring to it in a way that it's like it's attaining in a certain sense, but on the other hand, it is like, no, it is already there. So it's also a recognition. It is recognizing in every moment that Christ consciousness is the only consciousness there is. And you can see with Christ's vision to everything around you and look through the appearances and see what's actually there. And that is not just like a little exercise, but no, that is a life-changing occurrence. It's going to be a revelation for you on a day-to-day basis in this daily life, as we call it. And that comes with all kinds of recognitions and all kinds of taking responsibility for yourself. But it also comes with the idea of release. That's what you read in the Contemplative Life too. It releases you. It releases, if you allow this to occur to you, it releases you from the idea of material world, or the idea of supply, or the idea of your personal health, or the idea of, in fact, of death, you know, because the death is, of course, connected to the idea of your body. So it's not that I want to explain things to you. It's just like, okay, let's freshen it up a little bit and remember that this is the truth about yourself. This changing, this all changing consciousness shift that is occurring in you is a recognition of what was already there. So then you can become really excited when you read about light and love, because that is your true nature, and that is where you can connect with. That's what you actually can feel. That's what you, what is showing you what to do. And also, it's in your growing awareness of it, it will show you that it's everywhere. It's like it's all powerful and it's everywhere. It makes all things possible. But to go back to the idea of release, so it's going to release you. It comes with the release of material insecurity, and that's easy said, but for a lot of people that's like a years long process of experimenting with it, that you can really trust it and coming into situations where you learn this lesson. So it's not like it isn't a lesson happy learned, if you want that to be. Like for me, I to give a personal experience with it is I was in the time that I wanted to be with a master, and I found one, and I had like, well, how am I gonna get there with my family? Because we didn't have a big income or anything like that, and it would be impossible to get there and to have tickets for everyone. And then just little things occurred in that time that somebody invited me to make a wall painting, and I I wanted to do that. I made a design and all that, and I started painting on the first day, and they said, well, the neighborhood doesn't want it, but you can still have your money, and so you don't have to paint it anymore. So within like a couple of days, I had enough money to go and buy the tickets for my whole family to go to the United States. So things like these were shown to me, like, oh, okay, now yeah, it starts to dawn on me how this actually can, yeah, works or whatever. But it's like you need these examples. I at least I needed that over and over again to see that is working, and to have proof that I can trust it. It is a bit silly and pathetic as a human being, but you don't trust God. You can say that you do, but you basically don't. So to be aware of that is important in this process. But if you feel the comfort that these things start to occur, and yeah, then you start to also rely on it. It's like you don't want to live any other way, so you will not worry about that anymore. And that is, so that's not really like improving your human life, but it's more like, no, there's a concern taken away because you start to trust that everything will be given for your transformation in any moment. You will never lack anything in that sense. And all things that are occurring are not happening just like that. No, there's literally a perfect plan behind that. I know that I share things that you already know. I can't. Yeah, I have to do it anyway. So I love to confirm that this is all working. That this is absolutely working, and it is comforting if you discover it's not coming from you, like as a human being. It is literally given. And that is always a feeling of warmth, connection, and oneness, and all that. Like that's a beautiful gift, even though it seems to be like the smallest thing when you look at it. So I want to read some John 11. Let me see. John 11. And John 11 is the healing of Lazarus. Lazarus is called here. Let me see where it starts. Verse 9. Oh yeah, here's the. I'll read the first 7 too, because it's too nice. And a certain man was sick, Lazarus of the town of Bethany, the brother of Miriam and Martha. This Miriam was one who had anointed the feet of Jeshua with ointment and wiped them with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. And his 2 sisters sent to Jeshua, and then were saying, "O Lord, behold, him who you love is sick." And Jeshua said, "This sickness is not of death, but of the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified because of it." Now Jeshua did love Martha and Miriam and Lazarus. And after he heard that he was sick, he remained in the place where he was for 2 days. After this he said to his disciples, "Come, we shall go again to Judea." And his disciples were saying to him, "Our Rabbi, the Judeans had been just now seeking to stone you, and are you going there again?" And Jesus said to them, "Are there not 12 hours in a day? If a man walks in the daylight, he does not stumble because he sees the light of this world. And if a man walks in the night, he stumbles because there is no light with him. These things Joshua said, and afterwards he said to them, Lazarus, our friend, is resting. I am going that I may awaken him. His disciples were saying to him, Our Lord, if he is sleeping, he is recovering health. But Joshua spoke about his death, and they had thought that he had been talking about lying down, taking sleep. Then Joshua said to them plainly, Lazarus had died, and I'm glad that I was not there for your sakes, that you may believe, but you should go there. And Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us go also and die with him. And then he's sitting there with Lazarus. And Martha said to Joshua, My Lord, if you had been there, my brother would not have died. But even now, I know that as much as you ask God, he gives to you. And Joshua said to her, Your brother shall arise. And Martha said to him, I know that he shall rise in the resurrection in the last day. And Joshua said to her, I am the living God, the resurrection and the life. Whoever trusts in me, even if he dies, he shall live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And she said to him, Yes, my Lord, I do believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who has come into this world. And then they come to the point of the healing. This is also very interesting. And they took away that stone, and Joshua himself lifted his eyes above and he said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me, and I know that you always hear me. But for the sake of this crowd that is standing here, I said these things, that they may believe that you have sent me. And he had said these things, and he cried in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And he who had died came out, while his hands and his feet were bound in swathing bands, and his face was bound in a turban. Joshua said to him, Unbind him and let him go. So this is the healing of Lazarus, and being a demonstration of waking up out of the death, literally, like waking up out of your human existence, waking out of the concepts of yourself. And but he demonstrates it to the crowd. And so one of the fears that's being taken away in this transcendental consciousness or Christ consciousness is, of course, the idea of death, of not being this body, but being like Christ consciousness, being consciousness, not being like a materialistic or material or substance idea, but being consciousness. But I love it when Jesus is saying these words and also having this conversation with Martha and asking her to trust him. And then it's like he's using the whole situation to demonstrate the truth of who he really is. Just literally in all the steps that he is showing in this this story of this happening. So yeah, and then the immediate invitation to realize that Christ consciousness is your consciousness, that you are the resurrection and the life, that is running through you, that you can that can be awakened in you, and that is a real possibility. Like you are able to receive that, and one day you will, or you did it, or it's like, no, this is a real happening. This is occurring in you. This is happening right now. It is occurring. So your mind will be in a state of releasing, of letting go of all these ideas of what the world is, of what you are, of what your function is here, or what you're supposed to do, or all of that. By the release of that, your body starts to resurrect. And that is a real cellular, like that's a real occurrence. It's a real happening. It is the recognition that you are light, that you're not this dense thing, but that you're light, that you can connect and communicate instantaneously in this light. It doesn't have an idea of distance or time. So we are in our practice, in our infinite way practice, coming more and more into the realization and recognition of our wholeness, of our oneness with God, but also of our Christ consciousness. Releasing all ideas about ourselves, releasing the idea that you're doing something, or releasing the idea that you can die even. Releasing the ideas that you can get sick. Releasing the idea that you need to take care of yourself or struggle for survival or all that. No, you have to release that idea. It will make space for light and love, for the recognition of what really is. And it's so beautiful that it's being given on a day by day basis. Like every day you got a new chance. Every moment you can decide again. It's like, you get exactly the help that you need. You just have to ask for it. Not that the help isn't there. No, it's just that you open up for the help that is there. That's why you ask for it. So I open myself up to receive the love of God in every moment. I'll remember that during the day. I'll do my practice. There's no need to hold on to anything. So maybe you start breathing a little bit. So just breathing a little slower and say to yourself like, okay, I'm going to breathe in a little deeper and a little slower. And with that, I can release all tension. There's no need for me to be tense at all. I can just completely let go of my tensity. Yeah. Yes, I am the resurrection and the life that is running through me, that is doing what it has to do in me. And that's the only way to be in this world and not of it, but also to be in this world and not hurt anyone and not be in pain and get that back to yourself. No, you release all that. You don't hurt anyone with that. That's already amazing. And try to imagine that in the world, that you can discover something that won't hurt anyone. That's impossible in human concepts. But this is something that is pure and that is not hurting anyone. It's just extending the love that you are, the light. And it's creating a real happening, a real occurrence with real ideas of light and love. So I release all tension. I can let go of all of it. I don't need it anymore. So yeah, with that we come to almost the end of this class already. It's going by so fast in my experience. Wow, can't believe it. So I'm opening up the meeting room again after this. If you want to join, you're welcome. And otherwise, I'll see you next Wednesday. If at the same time there's a meditation meeting or some other time. So thank you so much for being here and joining with me in this moment and sharing the love in union, in oneness. Thank you so much. So I'll see you if you want. Log on again, and we will meet again on after the pee break. Okay. Thank you so much.